All right. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 2nd. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Kings County Board of Supervisors. Due to issues arising from COVID-19, the board is using a teleconferencing format for today's meeting. We are participating via the World Wide Web. If you would like to make a public comment today, please make sure you are identified by name in the WebEx system. For those interested in commenting during the unscheduled appearances, please use the raise your hand feature and wait to be recognized. Each speaker will be allowed up to 2 minutes for public comment. Each vote today will be a verbal or voice vote so that members of the public can hear how each board member has voted. After we have had a motion and a second regarding each item we are taking up today, we will be doing a roll call vote by district. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Joe Neves.
Here.
Richard Valley.
Here.
Doug Verboon is absent. Craig Peterson.
Here.
Richard Fagundes.
Here.
Great. We have four in attendance and one absent. At this point, would ask Brian Kleinhammer, Kingdom Culture 2 Church, to please lead us in the invocation.
All right. Let us bow our heads. Father God, we ask that you send your Holy Spirit to bless these proceedings and to fill our workplaces and our homes with your presence. Bring your wisdom to these discussions, Lord, and continue to bless our county. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Brian. Please follow me in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we'll move to unscheduled appearances. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or other items of interest to the public that is within subject matter jurisdiction of the board. 2 minutes are allowed for each item.
We do not have anyone with their hand raised.
Okay, and no written?
No.
Very good, thank you. All right, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the January 26th, 2021 regular meeting. Any changes? If not,
No questions, no comments. I'll move to approve the January 26th meeting.
Nev seconds.
very good. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Neves.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Great. We have 4 in favor, 1 absent. On to the consent calendar.
If there are no questions or comments, Nevs moves to adopt the consent calendar as printed.
Second.
Right. We have a motion and a second to accept the consent calendar. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Neves.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, very good. On to regular agenda items. Item 5A, Fire Department. Chief Lynch or?
Good morning, members of the board. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
So today, Rick Levy with the Kings County Fire Department, Battalion Chief, and also the Fire Marshal. Today I bring to you the annual inspection compliance report for Kings County Fire. The Fire Department is required to report annually to its administering authority on the department's compliance with enforcement specified building standards. This includes the annual inspection of certain structures, including hotels, motels, lodging houses, apartment houses, and schools are also one of them in there, for compliance with building standards. The existing law requires that the fire department inspect every building used as a public or private school, along with the above mentioned within its jurisdiction, for the purpose of enforcing specified building standards, not less than once each year, in accordance with section 13146.2 and 13146.3 of the Health and Safety Code, HSC. Senate Bill number 1205 was approved by the governor and chaptered by the Secretary of the State on September 27, 2018, to add section 13164.4 of the Health and Safety Code. This section requires the fire department to report annually to its administering authority on its compliance with section 13.146.2 and 13.146.3 of the Health and Safety Code. The fire department prepared its annual report, which is identified as attachment A, illustrating the department's compliance with the enforcement of specified buildings. The administrator is required to formally acknowledge receipt of the report in a resolution in accordance with 13.146.4 of the Health and Safety Code. The resolution has been approved as to form by County Council. There is no fiscal impact on the county, and my recommendation would be adopt a resolution acknowledging the receipt of the fire department's annual report pursuant to section 13146.2 and 13146.3 of the Health and Safety Code. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Questions, comments from the board?
No question. Move to adopt, yeah.
Deb, second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
4 in favor or 1 absent. On to item B, public health.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Ed Hill Public Health. Today we are seeking authorization to hire Mr. James Ray as an Extra Help Environmental Health Division Manager and at Advanced Step 5 at a salary range of $235.5. There is no general fund impacts with this item. This position and associated salary were also included in our health department's budget for 2021 in the Environmental Health Services budget unit. This position is funded through EHS fees and health realignment, and since this is an extra help position, there will be a salary saving. Mr. Ray has more than 30 years experience in environmental health services in both Santa Barbara and Riverside counties, which includes extensive supervisory experience. He comes to us with a bachelor's degree in crop science, and he also possesses multiple certifications in environmental health field. Mr. Ray is also a hazardous material specialist and has 4 years experience as a certified unified program agency manager. The Environmental Health Division Manager has been vacant since August 2020, and due to the low recruitment activity for this position, there's been a gap in the Environmental Health Division of Public Health, which we need to prioritize. Mr. Ray will be a tremendous asset to our department, and we already have a huge list of items for him to take on when he begins. Therefore, it is requested that your board authorize the advanced step hire for Mr. James Ray for Extra Help Environmental Health Division Manager position. Both county administration and human resources support this request. And this concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Questions, comments from the board?
Seeing no questions or comments, Mr. Chair, move for adoption as presented. Nevs.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
We have 4 in favor or 1 absent. Okay, on to item C, Human Service Agency.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. This is Sonia Bugay, Human Services Agency Director. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me.
Very good. We're loud and clear.
All right. This item is a request for your board to authorize the Human Services Agency Director to accept $277,150 from the state's Disaster Response Emergency Operation General Fund to make available for our Kings County for ongoing support of Project Room Key. This was a statewide allocation that was passed at the tail end of last year. The state general funds were allocated to the counties based on the Project Room Key reporting, the number of individuals that are housed. Based on that, there were 62 million statewide. Based on that, we were allocated $277,150. This does not change our program in any way. It just gives us an ability to cover 25% match when it's required. That was the reality for us all the way through mid-January. That has recently changed, that FEMA will cover more. It also gives us an ability to cover costs that FEMA does not cover. And one piece that in this funding is a little bit more flexible than FEMA funding is allows for the rehousing strategy, so connecting individuals to permanent housing, which normally under FEMA sheltering rules isn't allowed. So it just gives us an ability to continue our operations and provides a funding source. That's all I have as far as the presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Very good, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Not any.
Hearing none, Mr. Chair, Neves moves.
Nope. So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Motion by Neves, second by Valley. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Pardon. Richard Valley,
Aye.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
No.
Okay, we have 3 in favor, 1 against, and 1 absent. Thank you. All right, we'll move on now to administration.
Good morning,
Mr. Chairman. Wasn't that a 4/5 vote requirement?
You are right, it is. So we will actually, based on the vote, then the motion would fail.
Unless there are 2 items there, I would ask council for direction of whether that was considered a singular or all in one item.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and board members. The chair is correct in calling that as a failed vote for a combined motion. It can be separated if a new motion wanted to be made such that the money could be accepted, but it certainly couldn't be spent until there was a 4/5 vote to spend it.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Does the board have any interest in changing the direction?
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question then? Just so
Yes,
we
sir.
can get the conversation going.
Sure.
I was under the impression with my vote that this doesn't have anything to do with what I voted no on last year as it relates to the transition of the transitioning the Stardust Hotel into permanent studio housing. This is ongoing funding, I believe, for the homeless that we've had in there since early last year. If that's the information that I got, if that's correct, I just wanted to point that out.
Supervisor Valley, this is Sonia. I can answer that. You're correct. This is the ongoing operation. So your board has approved the contract.
We lost you, Sonia.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
She stated that this is new funding coming, and it would essentially help the operation of Project Room Key.
Okay, based on the previous vote, and I will look to my left at board members that are present, is there any interest in doing something different than that occurred?
Well, Mr. Chair, Sonia, is it time sensitive? Does this action need to take place today, or can it be delayed a week?
It can be delayed a week. The only thing that we're doing is accepting the funds or not accepting the funds. If the funds are rejected by our county, it will be distributed to other counties. I will double check on the date when we would actually have to inform the state that we do not want the funds. I do want to let your board know that it does not change our operation. So this isn't about.
Everyone would please bear with us. We're having a little technical difficulty.
It might just be within the chambers, Mr. Chair. I'm hearing Sonia just fine with no breakout.
So it will not change our operations. It just gives us an ability to, for existing operations, utilize funding in case FEMA funding isn't available or other funds aren't. That's the benefit, but we can delay this if your board wants to push the item for a week.
Mr. Chair, in essence, we can't delay an action that's already been taken. However, to Supervisor Nev's point and the apparent consideration of the board.
Oh, they can hear outside, just the.
Yes, the board chambers is unmuted. It's just the camera feed that appears to be dead.
It's a computer. Anything could happen at any given time for no apparent reason. Yeah. Turn it off and reboot. Is the extent of my technical expertise.
There you are. We can see you now. Can you hear us?
No, I don't think so. I can hear them connecting the speakers.
Is there a commercial we can run? We should have a commercial queued up. Run a PSA.
Does anyone have any stand-up they'd like to practice at the moment? It's a good time. You have a captive audience. Now's the time.
Yeah, karaoke. You go first, Supervisor Valley.
Yeah, I'll scare everyone away with my voice.
Come on, you. In here. Let's go.
This is a 4/5 item, and it appears we do not have the support to reconsider that item today. So we will move on to item D, administration.
Okay. Just before we move on, did Supervisor Neves get his question answered from?
But that's okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I?
Okay.
Rebecca, can I ask, is your board's direction to, I'm sorry, with all the disconnection, I just want to make sure I understand it clearly. Is your board's direction to bring this back, or we're just not accepting the funds?
I think that's your only option. It didn't pass today, so.
Ms. Bouquet, we can work on that together this week. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you can tell, but I think we're without counsel right now. We probably want to get on before we move on.
Sure. No, she's here.
I have been listening, and thank you, Supervisor Valley. The motion technically will not be reconsidered next week. However, because of the absence of Supervisor Verboen, if he were to request, or if Supervisor Fagundes, who voted against the motion, were to request reconsideration, it can be placed on the agenda at a future meeting. And it sounds like everybody's anticipating that will be next week.
Do you, Mr. Chairman, do we need consensus though to do that? I mean, I don't think we could just, if something fails, it fails. I don't think it's as easy as, or it shouldn't be as easy as just bringing it back to take another a shot at it.
Your point is a good one. A person who voted in favor of a motion cannot request reconsideration. However, a person who is absent or someone who voted against it can request reconsideration at a future meeting. So only Supervisor Verboen or Supervisor Fagundes could ask that it be reconsidered. And so your point is a good one, and we'll have to wait and test the waters during the week as to whether one of those supervisors is interested in hearing it again.
All righty. We have sliced and diced this one, and it will be decided at some other point. All right. Again, on to item D, administration.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the board. Rebecca Campbell, County Administrative Officer. The first item I have today is regarding Kings County's long-term water contract with the state of California. It's called the SWP contract with the Department of Water Resources for delivery of the state water project water. So that's SWP water. What is here today is a revision to the state water project contract. The existing contract allows for exchanges of water. However, it lacks specific parameters of such exchanges. So there are some revisions here to help clarify that. And they're called water management tools. This has been worked on for quite some time. There's been a lot of back and forth between the project water supply contractors and with the state. And so there has been an agreement in principle that has been recommended. There's been, last I knew, that 24 contractors have adopted this change. So I wanted to add that the water fixed cost allocation was in here, but that has been removed. So the agreement in principle was finalized on May 20th of 2019, and it does not include the water cost allocations for the water fixed project. The proposed amendments for this contract are based on the agreement in principle, which has converted into contract amendment language developed by those all involved. I want to go over some of the changes. So transfers, and this is outlined in your agenda report on page 3. Specifically, the proposed contract amendment does the following: removes the turn back pool language from the contract, creates new flexibility for non-permanent transfers, including the state contracts with DWR to transfer water to other state contractors outside of their service areas. Also requires certain conditions to be met to avoid harm to the state water project and other contractors. Requires DWR to approve based on satisfactory of such conditions. It permits the SWP contractors with DWR to transfer Article 21 water with DWR approval after a demonstration of special need. It allows the contractors to transfer or exchange up to 50% of their carryover water. It adds provisions to ensure transparency and provides for dispute resolution. On exchanges, it establishes clear criteria for exchanges. It sets ratios based on the annual Table A water. It sets the maximum cost compensation for an exchange. It allows exchanges to be carried out over a 10-year period. It permits the exchange of transfers up to 50%, requires certain conditions to be met to avoid harm to the contractors and to the state water project. It adds provisions to ensure transparency, and it provides for dispute resolution. Also with that, there has to be a CEQA determination. The final environmental impact report determined that the project would have significant and unavoidable impacts to groundwater hydrology and water quality, and cumulative consideration and unavoidable impacts to groundwater supplies and subsidence. So before approving the proposed contract amendment, I would ask your board under CEQA to certify that it has reviewed and considered the information in the certified final environmental impact report for the project. We have consulted with our State Water Project Administrator, and also the Tulare Lake Basin Water Storage District. We do have Mr. Jacob Westria, Assistant General Manager for the district, and he is available to answer any questions. So I would stop here and ask the board for any questions. And Jacob should be on the line.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Are there any questions for Supervisor Valley? None from you as well.
Mr. Chair, I guess, thank you. Mr. Chair, I guess the only question I would have for the lack of not knowing which specific questions to ask is just an overall question of, can anyone tell me if this would have any negative impacts to District 2?
Supervisor Valley, it's Jacob Wester here. I don't think so. I think the Tulare Lake Basin Water Storage District is in favor of it. I think constituents within your district are in favor of it. So I think it's a good thing to create some flexibility here. Just also wanted to mention that so far to date, I think 21 other state water project contractors have signed the agreement. Our district has signed, Dudley Ridge, and several other contractors within the county have signed. So I think it's a good thing.
Thank you for that, sir. I haven't heard anything to the contrary, so I appreciate answering a general question like that. Thanks, sir.
No problem.
Thank you. And I guess I have one question as well. We did approve a water transfer to the Jackson or to Kettleman for Jackson. Is that the kind of transfer that would require this kind of review? Or is that just within our quota or
That would
allocation?
That would be, we would still have our same contract with the state, and that would be our subcontract to them. So as far as I know, I'll turn it over to council. It seems like she has some more to add.
The transfer that we assigned, Mr. Chair, was an assignment from one current contractor to the Kettleman City Community Services District, one of our subcontractors, as the CAO pointed out, but it was a complete wash from the county's perspective in order to support that development. To the extent that these water management tools allow buying and selling, that transaction that the board previously approved would not fall under or be affected by the water management tools, except potentially indirectly.
Yep. All right. Thank you for that. So at this point, we would accept the motion to accept.
Neves, a second.
Very good. We have a motion and second to accept the item. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 4 in favor and 1 absent. Right. And that covered both items A and B? Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, on to item E, which is administration, and Rebecca Kemp.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is a weekly item. We've been giving an update to your board regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. I'll start off by going over any activity at the state, talk about the federal issues, and talk about county local issues, and then I'll turn it over to Director of Public Health, Mr. Edward Hill. The last update was given to your board on January 26th. Since then, I wanted to note that at the state, eviction protections were extended and rental assistance program is gearing up. I just want to talk about 2 bills, Senate Bill 89, which is the budget bill junior, they're calling it, and that is appropriating monies to the California Department of Housing and Community Development for this program. Also, SB 91 is the eviction moratorium and rental assistance program. So SB 91 extends the existing statewide moratorium. Last year, it was established under Assembly Bill 3088. And so that moratorium on evictions will extend through June of 2021. It includes provisions to allocate up to $2.6 billion in federal stimulus funds for purposes of rental and utility assistance. $1.1 billion for cities and counties with populations of 200,000 or greater, and $1.5 billion to the state for allocation and administration. So the California Department of Housing and Community Development is tasked with administering the program to allocate the state share of federal assistance. And I just want to give your board a few details. Funding for the first round is prioritized to those renters with incomes less than 50% area of the median income. It's called AMI. Funding for the second round is for communities disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. And finally, there will be a round 3, and that is dedicated for eligible households of 80% AMI or less. Funding may be used for renter arrears, prospective rent payments, utility arrears, and prospective utility payments. Payments may be made directly to landlords, with rental arrears limited to 80% of the unpaid rental debt from April 1 of 2020 through March 31 of 2021. Under an agreement with the grantees and the landlord, the payment must be accepted as payment in full. If the landlord refuses to participate, payments may be made directly to the renters up to 25% of the unpaid debt. Funds are allocated based on population, with $150 million set aside for counties with populations under 200,000. And then the remaining funds will go to populations divvied out above 200,000 and above 500,000. Okay, so that is gearing up, and they're hoping to roll that program out in March. So I just wanted to mention that. There are some activities happening in February that we'll be keeping an eye on. So, okay. On the federal side, there was an effort yesterday made by 10 Senate Republicans to talk about a $600 billion coronavirus stimulus package to the administration. So there are more discussions happening, but nothing's been adopted yet. So I wanted to just note that there is quite a bit of activity, and they're trying very hard to come to an agreement on what that COVID package is going to look like. Disappointingly, there was no direct allocation for local governments as part of that package that was presented yesterday. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. Also, on the federal side, President Biden did direct FEMA to fully reimburse state and local governments for use of the National Guard to assist in the pandemic response. And I mention that because it includes support for vaccination distribution and administration. So we'll have to see how that ties into what we're doing. On January 27th, the USDA announced the temporary suspension of past due debt collections and foreclosures for distressed borrowers under the Farm Storage Facility Loan and Direct Farm Loan programs administered by the Farm Services Agency. So those are a number of federal updates for your board. On the county side, the county does continue to modify its operations. The Emergency Operations Center is continuing to meet. We did send out the letter to Governor Newsom as per your direction last week. We also sent that same letter to the White House Internal Government Affairs Office and also to the Health and Human Services Federal Agency. We have the letter prepped for President Biden that will go out today. And so that the presidential letter will be a follow-up to what we presented before. And so, they were prepped, and now they'll see the direct ask, which is a bold ask to the president. And it's something that we did check, and not a lot of local governments have done that. There were some requests from mayors, but none that we saw from counties. So this will be a bold request from Kings County, and we'll see where it goes. We did have a question come up this past week regarding our YouTube channel. And there were some questions of how did it come about and what is the direction going forward? So I wanted to ask the clerk of the board to just talk about that a little bit and talk about how that YouTube came about, and we would seek some direction from your board on how do we move forward with the YouTube channel. So Ms. Venturella, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. Yes, I can address the YouTube recording question. This is Catherine Venturella, clerk to the Board of Supervisors. In early August 2020, staff, which is deputy clerk and myself, were having many issues with the WebEx program, and the volume of users online was becoming overwhelming for staff to maintain and keep from disrupting the board members who were trying to conduct business. We were asked to fix the issue on our side and do whatever was needed to be done with no budget or additional staff to do so at the time. So the deputy clerk, myself, and IT personnel looked at different options to offer a secondary streaming only option so that those that just wanted to watch could do so and keep the WebEx open for the participating members and members of the public that wish to speak. YouTube offered that availability, so we made it happen quickly. At this time and always, YouTube has been our secondary ancillary program. Since WebEx is the primary recording solution for the Board of Supervisors meeting, this is a reason for us going to the YouTube platform for the meetings, and we have been doing so since August 25th, 2020. Today, I ask what the board would like staff to do with the recordings. We can start fresh for 2021 and moving forward and have them available on a platform, or we can go all the way back to August 25th, 2020 and make those public. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, before the board undertakes that, may I address the Brown Act implications of the YouTube as a backup channel?
Please.
The clerks conferred with County Council regarding whether making the YouTube channel available was compliant with the Brown Act. And the answer was because when a viewer comes in through the YouTube channel, they cannot participate in the meeting. They can't engage in public comment or other aspects of the meeting. They can only do that on WebEx. So the question was, would the board be in violation of the Brown Act by directing as a primary source for viewing the meeting to YouTube, referring participants or the public to YouTube? And the answer was, that is an acceptable technological fix so long as any member of the public, if they have the ability during the meeting to contact the clerk and get the link to participate on the WebEx, then by accommodating that public participation, the YouTube video stream is an adequate backup for those who do not want to actively participate. To my understanding, the clerk has made that the WebEx link available to any member of the public who wishes to participate at every meeting since this technological solution was adopted at the end of August. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have regarding that setup and its legal compliance.
Thank you. A question, do you think we need a formal policy to institute this? I mean, or is it pretty, as you've just described, pretty straightforward, being that we do have a primary way of communicating?
We do not need a policy because this is consistent with the governor's executive order N3520 that was adopted on March 21st that allows boards to offer flexibility in teleconferencing by somewhat suspending the stricter requirements of the Brown Act. So I would suggest that the board continue this operation consistent with that executive order, as opposed to adopting a separate policy that might be subject to challenge.
Very good, thank you. Any questions, comments, direction by the board?
Mr. Chairman, if no one has anything, I have a couple.
Sure, go ahead.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our CAO for bringing that up during this part of the agenda. Mr. Chairman, as you know, the county, we currently, as mentioned, we do have a YouTube channel. Last I checked, I think we have something like 65 subscribers. So that's off to a pretty good start, where you have people actually subscribing to the channel. And so when I went to it the other day, I always assumed, since we were streaming on YouTube Live and we went through the time and energy to create a channel, that the YouTube videos, when the meeting was over, the video would be posted to our channel. That's why you create the channel, and then you have the content there for the public to come at any time. And so I was surprised when I went there, and our channel is there. We're on YouTube, and it says this channel has no content or something like that. So all the videos were gone. But I have all the links to the videos on a separate on a separate part. And so I went to the YouTube link, to going all the way back to the first time we streamed on YouTube, and all the links were live. So anyone who still has the links clicks on it, and the meeting streams. So it was just surprising that you could still do that, but yet the videos were not readily available. I believe it's zero cost. I appreciate those who even had the idea to do that and to get us on YouTube and to stream live. But I believe, Mr. Chairman, in my opinion, that those videos should be there. They should be there. I don't think there's a reason for them to not be there. Whether they were taken down, I don't know that, or if they just never had direction to be put up. But at the end of the day, Mr. Chairman, it's just about transparency, and transparency in local government. All that means is that we're being open and honest with the people, and anytime we could be open and honest with them, then we can build trust. And I think right now, in this era that we're in, there's things around the country that we can't control, but definitely in our small and beautiful county, we could put forth effort to help and build the trust, the two-way trust between government and the people. I think that, for the most part, people think and know that, the board members are trying to do a good job overall. And I think this just adds to it, Mr. Chairman. And in our county, you hear a lot of talk about businesses need to be open up the county. Businesses need to be open. Well, Mr. Chairman, the business of the people, which is what we do every Tuesday morning at 9, is a business of the people. And I believe that above all else should be open and transparent, Mr. Chair. So my efforts would be, if you're looking for direction, is that we would get those videos back on YouTube and direct IT to post those videos at the end of our board meetings every Tuesday. Because just like in real life, there's people who can't be here during the live stream, but there could be some folks who come home from work and they want to hear Ed Hill's update on COVID. And if that video is there, they can do that anytime today or anytime the rest of the week. Thank you for giving me this time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I didn't hear a motion in there, but I guess we'll bring it to the full board, back to the full board after comments. And is there any direction wandering around in the boardroom or with our board members?
I think, Mr. Chair, what really wasn't on the agenda for action, so maybe we should put this on for action at a subsequent meeting in the future, and have it outlined in a staff report. I appreciate the verbal I appreciate the background and I understand the logistics of technology, but I would like to see it in print. So I think if we could just add that to a future agenda item for action.
Okay.
I'm supportive of that, Mr. Chairman, and maybe John Devlin could be the one to bring that to us from an IT standpoint, as well as someone from administration. And I do appreciate the clerk's involvement in it, and I appreciate how they've had their hands full trying to learn not only WebEx but YouTube all at the same time, and it's working. So kudos to them. And that's helped. And so I think it's just a bonus to have the videos up. But Sue Neves is right. Let's bring it back, organized. Let's get briefed on it. And maybe, Mr. Chairman, if I could just be more direct, 2 weeks from now, since we don't meet next Tuesday, we bring this back in 2 weeks so people don't miss out on the good information, especially these COVID updates. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, we meet next Tuesday. It's 2 weeks that we don't meet.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, no, February 9th meeting still on. February 16th has been canceled due to President's Day on February 15th. So yeah, no, February 9th is our next regular scheduled meeting. February 16th has been canceled due to the President's Day celebration.
Thank you, Supervisor Neves. If John Devlin, maybe we could go to him real quick. If he's fine with a week's time out to bring something back to us, then next week would be a good opportunity for it.
Okay, and I will seek, I know Madam Council has some comments, and I would seek her comments as well with respect to just clarifying how we bring it back. Do we need consensus, or do we?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's exactly why I wanted to intervene. Before you talk about how to bring it back or who should bring it back, perhaps if you could just secure consensus with the 4 board members who are present, then we can talk logistics.
Okay. So I've heard from Supervisor Valley, Supervisor Neves, Supervisor Fagundes. Where are you at on this issue? Yes, bring it back. Okay, so it appears we have 4 out of 5 consensus, 1 absent. John, I see you up. Any comments you'd like to add?
No, as long as it's fine with the clerk, timing wise, I can bring it back next week.
Very good, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, back to Rebecca.
So now I'd like to turn it over to Director of Public Health, Mr. Edward Hill, if he's on the line, to give a local public health update on the pandemic.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board again. Ed Hill, Public Health. I'm going to start my report as I always do by reminding everyone the steps that we can all take to keep ourselves safe from communicable diseases such as COVID-19. They are frequently wash your hands for 20 seconds or more. Don't touch your face with an unwashed hand or hands. Stay hydrated with water. A hydrated cell is a healthy cell. Stay home if you are sick, and wear cloth face coverings to protect yourself and your loved ones. Our current numbers for this week are we've collected 158,777 samples. We have currently 512 results pending. We're currently monitoring 9,236 individuals. Our current total cases since the outbreak began is at 13,677. Unfortunately, our deaths continue to increase. We're now at 160. Our total recovered is at 6,175. Our active cases is at 7,342. The skilled nursing facilities in Kings County currently, since the outbreak began, have had a total of 307 cases. They currently have 49 active, 228 recovered, with unfortunately 30 deaths. The state prison outbreaks, their total since the outbreak began is at 7,524. That is 1,012 at Corcoran, 3,279 at Avenel State Prison, and 3,108 at SATF. They've collected 105,986 samples. They have 153 results pending. Their current active case count is at 1,894. They have 5,224 recovered, with unfortunately 17 deaths and 0 hospitalized at this time. We continue to watch hospital data closely. We are starting to see the leveling off of the COVID cases, both regionally and locally. As of yesterday, the local hospital reported that they had 66 infectious COVID patients and 24 non-infectious patients and 10 in the ICU. The reason I'm separating out infectious versus non-infectious, the hospital did announce yesterday that the state is requiring them to count their hospital numbers differently. And the reason for that is the CDPH is indicating they want to understand the true impact of COVID patients on the hospital. And what that means is when people recover or they are no longer infectious, the hospital did not used to count them as COVID patients, but CDPH wants them counted. So it's going to look like we're going to have a spike in hospitalized COVID patients, but it's a separation between infectious and non-infectious. So that total will be 90 as of yesterday. As of yesterday, the Porterville Alternate Care site had a patient census of 19 patients. Again, this site has the ability and capability and capacity to accept 25 COVID positive patients. The Fresno Alternate Care site, this is a non-COVID site, had a total of 6 patients. We are currently still maintaining a 60-day supply of PPE for all of our healthcare providers. The hospital had received staff from the state, and they currently still have 20 RNs assisting them at this time. The EMS call volume, or the ambulance call volume, has decreased, so the Central California Emergency Medical Services Authority did suspend their assess and refer policy. By way of reminder, this policy allowed paramedics, after a thorough assessment, to recommend that the individual who called for the ambulance follow up with their primary care physician instead of being transported to the emergency room or to an urgent care, so that they would not use up that resource. CCMSA also announced that that policy had been used 189 times in Kings County. The mobile testing program for this week, yesterday the mobile unit was at the County of Kings complex. Today is at Avenel High School. Tomorrow it will be at, tomorrow will be at Armona Library. Thursday it will be at Lemoore High School, and Fridays again it is off. Just a quick update, we continue to hold our unified support team calls with the state. This is a requirement of our current tier situation, and as you recall, this is a process they started about 9 months ago. Our current numbers for the state metric this week are, our new cases per 100,000 is at 53.6. That's the unadjusted rate, or excuse me, the adjusted rate. The unadjusted rate is at 62.7. Again, we get our count adjusted down because we are testing more than the state median. We are starting to see a small decline in new cases. It's nice to be back in the double digits instead of the triple digits, but we are also anticipating a small spike due to the last 3-day weekend. And of course, we have concerns about the new 3-day weekend coming up, but again, the nicer weather will drive people outside where the virus is less likely to be transmitted. Our overall testing positivity is at 13.2%, and our testing positivity in the lowest quartile of the Healthy Places Index is at 19%. Again, this means that all of our metrics meet the purple tier criteria, and we will remain in that until we have our numbers recover. Our test per 100,000 is down a little bit, at 619 for a daily average from 641. This was due to the weather that we experienced last week. Obviously, the rain, people don't want to stand out in the rain to get tested. We anticipate that will recover. For a vaccine update, it was a busy weekend as Public Health, ARIA, Family Health Care Network, and Adventist Health all held vaccine clinics on Saturday. Public Health, ARIA, and Family Health Care Network were at West Hills College and Home Garden and focused our attention on our established wait list between those partners. Adventist Health was at Cedar Pacific High School. We, Public Health, continue to focus our vaccine efforts on those who are over the age of 65 and distributing our allocations and our vaccines equitably. At the West Hills College, we administered 510 vaccines using the drive-through model. This was ARIA's first event of this magnitude, and they only encountered a few small hiccups, if you really want to call them hiccups. The first one was we did have a line of about 20 cars back up, but then quick changes to the check-in process quickly solved that issue, and the lines never got longer than 5 cars after that. The other issue wasn't really a process issue. It was a misunderstanding. Some of the individuals vaccinated didn't understand the 15-minute observation time, and they complained about being asked to stand by while we observed them for the 15-minute time frame. At the Home Garden event, we launched our partnership with Family Healthcare Network and their mobile unit. The unit was able to administer 110 vaccines. The remaining doses from our 900 allotment will be distributed to the surrounding clinics in Avenel, Kettleman City, Stratford, Hanford, and Public Health will continue to vaccine in Corcoran and until Family Healthcare Network takes over that process for us. At the Adventist Health event at Sierra Pacific High School, we heard Adventist Health was able to administer 1,000 vaccines. They did give us being Public Health and RIF, 400 spots so that we can work on our wait list, which we had already established in the prior weeks, and we were able to fill those slots within 2 days. And between the three events, we were able to put a pretty large dent in our wait list. Yesterday, we executed a trade for some of our Moderna vaccine to Pfizer today in order to complete our second doses of Pfizer. And by way of a reminder, CDPH, our California Department of Public Health, directed local health departments to use 50% of our second dose allocations of Pfizer as first doses in the state's push to get the vaccine out. They did this in the anticipation that locals would be receiving more Pfizer vaccine, but that hasn't materialized for us in Kings County. In fact, we have had no word that we would be receiving any Pfizer vaccine in the near future. And as a result, it necessitated the trade between counties for Moderna for Pfizer. I'd also like to take the opportunity to reinforce that public health priorities for the vaccine. We know that the governor makes his announcement, but the information that we get is straightforward from the state. And we continue to focus on the 65 and older population at public health, as this is the most impacted population from this virus. And on average, public health only receives 592 doses a week. And since 80% of our deaths in the county are over the age of 65, we're going to continue to focus our efforts on that age group until we have them completely vaccinated, and then we will move into the other priorities established by the state. Finally, last week, the governor announced a new third-party administrator process, which is supposed to be rolled out in the next couple of weeks. And this has many of the counties concerned and brings up many issues. For instance, the new administrator will be the one determining the vaccine allocation, and we're not sure how that's going to work. They also promise complete transparency into vaccine data, but we think that'll be a challenge given the data challenges they already have and the lack of transparency in the other programs that are receiving vaccines that we have no visibility into. They'll also be introducing new additional data systems, which always comes with many issues. And we're also concerned that they'll start creating new processes and provider networks when the locals have already worked so hard to scale up operations so far. We know that the state is currently in the process of drafting this contract, and we're eager to get a look and a clear understanding of what this process is going to look like. I've been asked to sit in on a group that provides county input or local inputs to this group, and I do so every opportunity when they meet. Again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our partners this weekend. Between the organizations, the county was able to administer over 1,600 vaccines, which shows what we can do in our county if we have the supply. Again, the biggest issue is we don't have the supply. And as Ms. Campbell mentioned, that letter to the governor and to the president is most welcomed. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Hill. Questions from the board, Mr. Hill? Don't see. Okay, Supervisor Valley.
If no one else, Mr. Chairman, I just want to quickly thank Mr. Hill and his staff for the efforts, their ongoing efforts. There was a feeling of relief on Saturday that you could just feel by many who were excited to go and get vaccinated, and to hear that we're putting a dent in this waiting list is good news. And I know that doesn't come easy, and I know it's not going to continue to come easy. So just big thanks and appreciative to you, Mr. Hill, and to your staff, who I know is just working beyond exhaustion at this time. And thank you to everybody else who is part of that mission, our public safety officers, our firefighters, just everyone who's out there doing it. I don't think anything is more important right now at this time, Mr. Chair. I also want to thank our CAO and the clerks, Catherine, everyone who helped got the language together for these letters. They are important. So thank you for getting that to the president and to the governor. I did reach out to Assembly Member Rudy Salas, Mr. Chair, through his staff, and I did get assurance. He sent back a message. He wanted me to relay that he has been fighting with governor's administration to make sure that they do expedite these vaccines and provide more clarity as they work with our local health officials. So he just wanted to provide assurance that he is doing everything that he can to help with this process from being our representative in Sacramento. So I want to appreciate him for that, and thank you for allowing me to relay that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Right, any further board comments on the item? Rebecca, are you finished with the item as well?
Yes, that is the update for today. Thank you.
Okay. Right, we will move on to board member announcements and reports. Supervisor for goodness.
Nothing at this time.
Great. Supervisor Nebbs?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had to leave early last week, so this report period goes over a 3-week period. Calvan's meeting failed to meet quorum. Many of the elections and reorganizations of the organizations that feed into Calvan's had not made those appointments. So unfortunately, Calvan's had to sit idle in January, but we'll hopefully get back online soon after those appointments are made and those committee assignments are filled. The State Controller's Office committee meeting, we met and had a long discussion on Prop 19 and the changes that it'll bring. And so if you get a chance to review that, that's very important language that the state now is trying to clarify after the voter approved initiative. Continue to work on the Kings County Homeless Collaborative. And again, heard those updates on room key and room key replacement projects. We also had a meeting of the Countywide Oversight Board, closing out many of the redevelopment agencies' recognized obligation payment schedule, or ROPS, as you sometimes may hear. And also approved the sale of some property in Lemoore previously owned by the redevelopment agency at an appraised price. Had the opportunity to log on to the brown bag and learn about cybersecurity. I still don't do it very well, but it seems like the more and more you get exposed to it, the better off you are. And so thanks to John Devlin for doing that. King's Partnership for Prevention, I was able to log on. I didn't have anything else to do. So that organization continues to struggle, work and serve the community well, and a lot of people logged on. The South Fork Kings welcomed Frank Gornick as the representative from the city of Lemoore and Patricia Matthews as the alternate on their operations. And we continue to work on groundwater management issues for the South Fork Kings. And the San Joaquin Valley Regional Policy Council had a meeting, and I'm the alternate in one open position. So I went ahead and logged on and listened to that and got updated on the San Joaquin Regional Policy projects. I was also able to log on. It was a rainy day, but the groundbreaking for the King's Gospel Mission project was rainy, and it was a nice, very nice event. Had some rain delays, almost like a baseball game. So, but everything kind of worked out, and I think that'll be a good project, not just for Home Gardens, the city of Hanford, but also County of Kings and addressing homeless. Behavioral health meeting, we were able to, we were not able to secure a quorum for that, but we didn't have any action items. And we'll continue to try to get those quorums back up in the future. And then again, part of the reorganization, King's Waste and Recycling, we welcome Patricia Matthews as the representative from Lemoore. King's Waste and Recycling continues to evaluate its current operations and currently has a study underway And hopefully, we'll have a draft copy either in this month, February, or the contractors are looking forward to March. And so as we continue to work through the King's Waste and Recycling efforts. And so with that, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Neves. Supervisor Valley.
Yeah, only other thing I forgot to talk about, Mr. Chair, was I am appreciative of the efforts in Home Garden that took a lot of time and effort for some of the community leaders. I want to thank Harold Reed, Danielle Hex, and Latoya Tate there, the executive director of the CSD, for helping to be part of that mission to get folks in the community vaccinated and Home Garden. They spent a lot of time last week, Mr. Chair, going door to door with that flyer. So it's teamwork, and so we had some I believe Ed said 110 people in Home Garden vaccinated on Saturday. So that's a blessing. Thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Well, for myself, for those that know me, I have triplets and married off one of them over the weekend. So Mr. Nolan and Brittany are now off in Vegas hanging out, but did a socially distanced wedding with family members only, and beautiful day in the city of Santa Barbara with a backdrop of the ocean. So congratulations to them. And then a quick thank you to our federal lobbyist team for the quick turnaround and assistance in developing the letter to the president. And with that, I will turn it over to our CAO for board member or board correspondence and upcoming events.
Sure, we have a few things in correspondence. We have a meeting notice from the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board. That meeting is scheduled for Thursday, the 18th and the 19th of February, 2021. From Kettleman Hills facility, the 5th annual information meeting notice also came, and that'll be February 25th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. via Zoom. From the AARP, there's a housing report in correspondence. Also a letter from Mr. Carlos Gonzalez, a letter to the board asking them to take a stand against the Governor Newsom and open up Kings County. From the Department of Insurance, there was a letter from Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara, which provides examples of resources the California Department of Insurance has helped the county and its constituents. There are no upcoming events. Upcoming agenda items. Next week, we have the COVID-19 update from the Ag Commissioner, a resolution to amend the Ag fee schedule. Community Development will have an update for the Planning Commission's actions. From the Fire Department, the Homeland Security subrecipient agreements will come before the board. From Health, we'll have an agreement with Tulare County for the Women, Infant, and Children program. Also, the Children Medical Services program plan and budget will come before the board. We'll have an advanced step higher request from Human Services Agency, and also a contract amendment extension for the foster child placement system. And then on February 23rd, we will have a study session regarding the legislative platform come before your board.
Very good, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 7, which is closed session, personal matters, government code section 54957, public employee appointment, and that would be, the title would be fire chief. And Madam Counsel, do you anticipate any reporting out?
We do not. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. So at this time, we will move to closed session, and further items of the day. We have the California Public Finance Authority regular meeting at 11 a.m. And with that, we will adjourn to the next regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday, February 9th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Meeting adjourned. Okay, this time we'll go ahead and open the California Public Finance Authority meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please call a roll?
Joe Nevs,
Here.
Richard Valley, he is online.
Here.
Side again. It's February. The equipment doesn't want to work.
Groundhog's Day.
Is that
I'm
what
here.
it is?
Yeah. Happened all over again.
I'm on.
You want me to push the,
My dog's seen her shadow, so there's gonna be 6 more weeks of winter.
I'm on. I'm here.
And her legs are only 3 inches long. What the hell?
Supervisor, I don't think they can hear us. I think it might be a speaker issue in the chambers.
Okay. I texted the chairman and let him know I'm on.
Excellent.
Technology is a wonderful thing when it works. When it doesn't work,
Can you guys hear me at least?
Somebody takes advantage of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
All right, thanks.
Of course.
okay. We'll continue with roll calls. Supervisor Richard Valley,
Here.
Doug Verboon is absent. Craig Peterson,
Here.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
All right, we have 4 in attendance. We'll move on to approval of the January 26th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Nevs, the second.
We have a motion by Fagundes, second by Nevs. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, 4 in favor. Move on to item 3A. And I guess Scott is on the line. Are you handling that?
I am here.
Very good, sir. Go ahead.
Thanks so much. So quick, we wanted to put this on the agenda to talk to you guys. For Napa College, it's a community college. Generally used as commuters coming in. We want to move forward with a first ever for their campus student housing project. Currently, their design is going to call for 280 housing units with 524 beds on the college campus. Their budget right now is going to be approximately $100 million to build this and develop it. They're hoping to target kind of a tax-exempt financing in the fall of this year, 2021, and then open the student housing facility in the fall of 2023. So currently their team, they've reached out to, they have the Martin Group as the developer. They have Gray Star as the operator. They have the Scion Group as the college's advisor. And then they're working with Citigroup as the underwriter. And we've known Citigroup for a long, long time. And so they are well aware of Cal PFA's asset ownership program. And they're looking to engage an owner for this student housing project so they can take advantage of the tax-exempt financing. So they put out an RFP, which Cal PFA is going to be responding to, which is due tomorrow. So wanted to just make you guys aware. Obviously, we're very interested in this and definitely think we can help them with our expertise. And so we thought it would be a nice to-do to show them a declaration of interest from the Cal PFA board, just saying, hey, we'd love to work with the college and help you guys out. So that's why this is before you guys today. We're pretty excited about it. Again, they've put out an RFP, which we'll be responding to, but hopefully we can, win this and have a great project for the Cal PFA board. So that's really it. Just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention and can take questions if you guys have any, but I'll continue to update you guys as this moves along.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So am I hearing that this is not an action item, that we don't need to take a level of support for this today, or are you asking, it's on the agenda, it's asking for approving resolution 21-03A, I guess, if we are accepted as their partner.
Yeah, I'd like just to take a roll call vote to approve kind of declaring the authority's interest in the project. That's really all it is today. Again, if we do win the RFP, we'll be back to you guys with updates and final approvals, obviously later this year. But again, this would be great to get your guys' approval just to sign this declaration of interest.
Okay, very good. Thank you for the clarification. All right, so we have item 3A on the table. Is there a motion? Okay, we have a
That's
motion.
the second.
No, motion by Fagundes, second by Neves. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, we have 4 in favor, 1 absent. This time we'll move on to item 4, public comment. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any other items of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. 5 minutes are allowed for each item. Do we have any hands raised or for public comments?
Do not.
And any written?
No.
Very good. We'll move on to staff updates, if there are any. Scott?
None, guys, but we are going to have a Cal PFA meeting next week on Tuesday as well. So we'll be back to you guys next week, but that's it.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any other further comments by the board? Seeing none, we will move to item 6, adjournment. And thank you all for attending today, and we are adjourned.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.